So here's the deal. While I wholeheartedly believe that vulnerability is an essential quality for all leaders and that women excel in this area, there is the flip side, which is that it does come with its risks, and we all need to know what the challenges are and how to successfully navigate them. Hello and welcome to the Unapologetically Authentic Leadership channel. I'm Brooke Bernard, your transformational leadership coach. This space is all about empowering high-achieving women in leadership to be their authentic selves. And in case you're new here, my goal is to help you reach your full potential by being who you are, not who you're expected to be. As you know, I am a fan of professional development and think everyone deserves access to it. So as always, you will find the free mini course that I offer linked in the description box below. It's called 4 Powerful Shifts to Elevate Your Leadership and Feel More You at Work. It'll help you build your leadership skills and your confidence. So this is going to be the first video in a series about vulnerability. I want to help you wield your vulnerability as a strength. I want to empower you to lead others in a way where they know it's safe to be vulnerable with you. It really is one of the qualities that is foundational to great leadership. So let's kick it off with the good old-fashioned stereotype that women are emotional. And I think as professional women in leadership roles, we do everything we can to not fit that stereotype, to have our emotions checked, or sometimes even just turned off so that we can appear to be equal or the same as our male colleagues. And that sucks because we are not the same. We are not the same biologically. We are not the same in the way that we are raised in society. We are not the same. And yet, in order to feel like we are acceptable around that table of power and influence, we try to blend in. And that is something that we do because we think we must. And I am hoping that we are reaching a point in history where that can be different. Where women can be women, where we can be feminine and powerful and be accepted around that boardroom. It's good to question some of these things that have been trained into us over the years about how to be a good professional in the workplace, what a leader is supposed to look like, act like. Because having an emotion, naming it, experiencing it, thinking about why it's happening and what it means, that's emotional intelligence. I would argue that if all leaders engage their emotional intelligence, all workplaces would be much better. But men and even other women can be dismissive, which makes it more challenging for women in leadership roles to feel comfortable authentically experiencing or expressing their emotions without fear of being judged. But it's on us. As leaders, we are role models, and we need to model for the people that we lead that it is safe to be vulnerable, and that authentically experiencing and expressing emotion within the bounds of reason in a workplace is what we want them to do. Because we are trying to create psychologically safe environments for our teams. And authenticity and vulnerability are right at the heart of that. Next up is the double bind. We are expected to be warm and nurturing while also exhibiting strength and decisiveness. So while we are trying to show our vulnerability, we are also supposed to watch how assertive we are, because people can also read that as being aggressive or difficult. Balancing all of that can be a lot, which is why some women feel discouraged and don't feel confident being vulnerable in their workspace. And next up is competence versus likability. And this one really resonates with me because from the start of my career, whenever I was put in a position where I had to choose whether I needed someone to like me or respect me, I always chose respect. Because respect means to me, you know that I am good at my job, that I can be trusted, that I produce quality work, and I'm the one that you want to consider partnering with for big projects or promoting. And if that means that I have to sacrifice being liked, I'll deal with it, because I can go home at night and sleep just fine knowing that some person out there doesn't like me. But I need to know that my team can respect me, that my leaders respect me, that my colleagues respect me based on who I am and what I bring to the table. And when we show vulnerability, that always calls into question, will people think that I am weak? Will it affect my effectiveness and therefore my authority as a leader? And of course, this is going to make women hesitate to authentically express themselves. And next is fear of backlash. Women are concerned that if they are open about the challenges that they're having or their uncertainties, the person you're open with could choose to judge you or even use that information to undermine you, which is totally understandable. That concern is valid. That means you need to be cognizant and selective about who you are sharing challenges with. There's also just cultural norms. A lot of corporations and organizations are still rooted in some of these old notions, where masculine energy, the professional man, sets the tone for what is normal. And then, with that norm in place, expressions of vulnerability, which men were never supposed to do, were viewed as weakness. And since women feel the need to try to fit in that norm of what it means to be a successful professional leader, that means that they are then forced to follow that misguided notion that expressing vulnerability is weakness, when we know that vulnerability is an expression of strength and standing in your power as an authentic leader. And then there's imposter syndrome. Everyone experiences imposter syndrome at one point or another in their life, which is always exacerbated by societal gender expectations and biases. And that internalized doubt, that programming, can lead women leaders to feel like they can't afford to show vulnerability because they're afraid it might reveal all the reasons why they feel like they're not good enough for the role that they're in. And friends, if you are feeling like right now you're tangling with imposter syndrome, the key is increase your competence to increase your confidence. Imposter syndrome can eat at you. So if you are having doubts, figure out what the areas are that you are most intimidated by. What skills do you think you should have that you don't? And then seek out ways to build those skills. Because once you develop yourself in the ways that you think you need to be more deserving of that role, you will be confident that you deserve the role. So think about that and be kind to yourself. Be good to yourself and do what you need to do. And then we have the good old criticism of work-life balance. Women who talk about their personal lives at work are afraid of facing judgment, that maybe they are more focused on their home life than their commitment to their job, which I'm sure is not the case, but it's the fear we have, and we have it because we've probably seen things or heard things that have led us to think, yep, I don't want to be that person that everyone is judging right now. Or I don't want to be that person that those people were just gossiping about, so I'm not going to say anything. And this can be really hard because this silencing effect can make it really difficult for us to talk openly and honestly about balancing our professional and personal responsibilities. And just because you care about balancing it doesn't mean that you don't care about one or the other. And we shouldn't be asked not to care about our personal commitments. We should be supported in figuring out how we can do both successfully. And then there's lack of representation. We all know that there are way more men in leadership roles than there are women. And that can perpetuate a belief that vulnerability is not a trait that is associated with successful leaders, which creates this environment where women can feel unsupported or isolated. And if you identify with that, I hope that by watching this channel and spending time with me that you are getting some connection and some solidarity, because I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I've experienced walking into a room and being one of the only women around the table, and it requires you to dig deep and remember all the reasons why you have a seat at that table, but it can definitely still be lonely there. And then there's your basic bias against authenticity. In some workplaces, there's still this underlying current that stoicism is to be rewarded, which is this traditional approach to leadership that is, again, rooted in male leadership. So women who work there and choose to be authentic, choose to be vulnerable, may be seen as not fitting the mold, which could potentially lead to loss of opportunities. These biases, as with all biases, are not fair and not okay. And they definitely create this complex environment and experience for women. They require us to navigate societal expectations, personal fears, and workplace cultures, making it challenging to embrace and express our vulnerability in a healthy and constructive way, which we all need, not only as great leaders, but also as human beings. But the reality is that if you aren't willing to be vulnerable, then you can't embrace a growth mindset. You can't create psychological safety for your team. You can't lead authentically, which means you can't be the type of leader that you want to be. So the goal here is to recognize that these concerns are valid, but there are ways to navigate them. I'm going to help you do that, because I don't want this fear to become a barrier for you. I want you to be able to lead authentically. I want you to be true to yourself and who you are as a leader. I don't want you to be pressured to conform. I don't want your ability to connect with your team to be stifled or limited. I want you to be able to foster a culture of growth and openness and safety. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you found the video helpful, please like it to help more people see it. And as always, if you are looking for personalized guidance and support, please connect with me directly to learn more about private coaching and how I can help. And until next time, stay true to yourself, lead with purpose, and thank you